Water pollution is a contamination of water bodies which include lakes, rivers, oceans, aquifers, and groundwater. Water pollution occurs when pollutants are discharged directly or indirectly into water bodies without adequate treatment to remove harmful compounds. Water pollution in almost all cases has a damaging effect not only to individual species and populations but also to the natural biological communities. It might interest you to know that water pollution is a global scourge, in fact the world's biggest health risk, and it accounts for the deaths of more than 14,000 people daily. The specific contaminants leading to pollution in water include a wide spectrum of chemicals, pathogens, and physical or sensory changes such as elevated temperature and discoloration. Impacts will include sea level rise, saltwater intrusion, harm to fisheries, and more frequent and intense storm events. Don't forget that fish, birds, and wildlife depend on clean water just as people do. The effects include vomiting or diarrhea, a sick stomach, skin rashes, cancer, reproductive problems like infertility, but usually after drinking polluted water for a long period of time. Developmental problems, some kinds of learning disabilities can happen after drinking dirty water for a long period of time. According to the UN World Health Organization guidelines, drinking water in some parts of Nigeria is polluted with benzene at levels 900 times above the limit. The government should enforce existing laws to ensure the prevention of water pollution. Water pollution prevention and control measures are critical to improving water quality and reducing the need for costly wastewater and drinking water treatment. Water pollution can come from many different sources, including air pollution. Clean and plentiful water provides the foundation for prosperous communities. We rely on clean water to survive. We can start effecting these changes from the grassroots and even in our sphere, but we need to start now. Let us take heed and ensure a clean environment, thus avoiding water pollution.
So, Mrs. Bisi, so how then can we maintain proper water hygiene?
To maintain proper hygiene, we need to boil our water.
We need to boil.
Boil, we allow it to cool, we filter before consumption. Then, particularly when you're washing, when you have wells around, boreholes, there's a lot of pollution these days because of the increase in urbanization and industrialization in the states. So we encourage residents particularly to be aware of the consequence of pollution from their surroundings, either man-made or natural. Most people have wells and boreholes in their homes these days. So most of them, even at the time they build this, they don't usually follow up with analysis to ensure potability of this water. So we advise that you boil, you allow it to cool, filter before consumption. Then the piping, the distribution network of Lagos State Pipeline Water somehow have openings here and there. So some people don't use boils, they don't use boreholes, they take water from Lagos State source. So we ensure that when the water comes in, they should still check because of this infiltration of pollutants in the system.
That happens to be one of the major challenges you're facing in Lagos. Any other challenges you want to shed more light on?
Yes. Lagos State, like I told you earlier, it's a mega city based on the population increase, urbanization, and industrialization. Lagos State accommodates about 65 to 70% of the total number of industries in Nigeria, and a lot of pollution is being generated on a daily basis, especially the industrial sector. We have wet process facilities and dry process. The wet process, basically, they generate a lot of trade effluents that is not, that finds its way into the water body through our public drains. So we tend to encourage them to build an effluent treatment plant. If you're going into industrialization, a wet process facility must have an ETP, that's an effluent treatment plant. It is mandatory. This is to ensure treatment of your wastewater before it goes into the environment, because there's seepage here and there.
Oh, okay.
So eventually to get to the surface water, which is the primary source of well, Lagos State Water Corporation water source for treatment before it gets to homes.
Okay.
So the challenges are enormous, and it's staring us in the face these days. So with the agency, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, is trying its best to ensure compliance.
Okay.
We are always after these industries to reduce the pollution that goes into the environment as much as possible, so that the water bodies won't be polluted. The fish we consume eventually gets polluted. If the streams and rivers are polluted, the fish we eat, they can get the heavy metals, which eventually gets to the system. It's a cycle. So we have to try and ensure proper management and control.
Thank you very much. We've sure learned a lot from Mrs. Bisi Shonibare, but before she leaves, I'm sure she has the last word for us. So what do you have to say about it?
Yes. I want to advise everyone to ensure that potable water is vital, is key to the health of everyone. So for consumption, like I said, you must boil your water. Ensure it is not polluted before you drink it. And if you notice any facility near your neighborhood that is discharging some effluent that is probably not treated, you inform the government regulatory agency. And we'll be there to ensure compliance with that facility, so that the water that gets to your homes does not get polluted due to underground seepage.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bisi Shonibare. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We've learned so much from you today. We'll go on a commercial break, and when we get back, you'll be meeting my celebrity guests. Welcome back. We're still on Healthwise, and we've been discussing water hygiene. Here with us now is a celebrity, an on-air personality. Please welcome Imo Edits. Thank you very much for coming, Imo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Can you relay an experience you've had in the past that was traceable to bad water hygiene?
Well, straight to my university days. And also my secondary school days. Part of my secondary school days, I was in a boarding house, and it's usually common when you're a boarder, and then you have to get the buckets, join the queue. You wouldn't even know where the source of the water is from, and then you end up with all sort of rashes at the end of the day. And that is why most of the time, after every break, every term, it is advised that the student gets treated for some waterborne diseases. Usually the rashes and some scabies, that comes with it. But in all, it wasn't really a good experience, because it now looked as if you have to be at a particular level before you can get clean water, which actually shouldn't be. But it's most common during my school days. I didn't really enjoy the fact that...
Well, after your school days, you've never had any experience.
You know, after that, you know your left from your right. And even if you have to, with all the things you've learned in school, to parboil the water before you drink or bath, or you make sure you get the water purifier, and all those little things, it helps a lot.
That takes me to my next question. Do you think poverty diminishes good water hygiene?
I don't think so. It depends on the individual.
Really?
Now, if you are the average Nigerian, and then you feel that you must be at the high class before you get clean water to use, I think it's a wrong impression. Firstly, it's a personal thing. If I'm so used to getting dirty, I wouldn't mind where the water is coming from. But if I'm very careful with what I eat, what I drink, what I use, then I will ensure that all the waters in quote, are clean before I use them.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Himo.
You're welcome.
It's been wonderful having you here. We're going on a commercial break, and when we get back, we'll be on our question and answer segment. Thank you. Welcome back, Mrs. Shonibare. You have questions from the studio audience. Yeah. Can we have your question, please?
My school is Kelly College. My question goes to Mrs. BC Shodibare. You talked about safe water and what makes water safe and the requirements. So while saying that, you talked about testing the water. And I want to ask, what kind of tests are carried out on the water?
Okay. For potable water, we have, like I said earlier, physical tests, physical parameters, chemical, and the microbial. For physical parameters, you want to be sure the water is tasteless, is odorless, is colorless. The pH is about neutral. And for chemical analysis, you want to check the residual chlorine content. You want to check for the hardness, if it's hard. You want to go and check also for the heavy metal content.
Okay.
Because there is a limit. We have, like I said earlier, we have specifications for these parameters which must be met. If they don't fall within these specifications, we consider the water as being unsatisfactory.
Okay.
Not potable for consumption.
Okay.
Then the microbial analysis, we want to check for microorganisms. Because of, like the doctor said earlier, the ailments concerning all this, typhoid, cholera,
yeah.
is as a result of consuming polluted water, contaminated water. If it's contaminated, you have fecal coliform in them,
okay,
which is not good for consumption. So those are the tests, basically. And the heavy metals I was telling you about, you have chromium, you have lead. You want to be sure the water you want to drink does not contain these heavy metals, because it's not healthy when you take such water. When you have, it slows down the IQ when you take water contaminated with heavy metals, lead. Okay. So we want to be sure the water is free of all this. Then we say it's potable and good for consumption.
Does that answer your question? Thank you.
My name is Akila Digbenga. I'm from Kelly College, and my question goes to Ms. Shoni Bare. What efforts are you making as a regard to the market women who are fond of discharging toxic substances indiscriminately in the environment?
Yes, we have as a regulatory agency in the state, we have a department that visits. If you're talking about the local market, there's a department that visits every Thursday.
Okay, every Thursday.
Yes,
okay.
Market sanitation. That one is done at the end of the month, last Thursday of the month. Okay. But Thursdays, we have the hazardous material management department.
Okay.
They go visit markets to ensure that their waste
is properly
managed prior to the removal by the pre-SP in charge.
Okay.
And we ensure that there is appropriate sorting, so that there is no contamination. It doesn't get into the environment. Okay. It gets to the appropriate destination. Okay. For disposal. But for industries, like I said earlier, we ensure that they treat. They must definitely treat what goes out of their facility. Okay. So that does not affect, pollute the environment. Okay. But like you said, market women mostly, and what they generate mostly is they are perishable stuff. They get degraded with time. They are food waste, basically. Okay. So you hardly get toxic substances
from food waste. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And then last question from.
Thank you. My name is Olabinton Adeshola. Earlier on, I had Dr. Mrs. Bakari speak on water-related diseases and water-associated diseases, which really got me confused. I don't really know the difference between, and for the sake of our audience at home, what does this really mean? And secondly, I learned that people use unprepared pap, the raw pap, they just prepare it mixed with cold water to treat water-related diseases. So how true is this, and is it hygienic enough for people to practice that? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. I'll start from the last question, that using unprepared pap to treat diarrhea diseases. You agree that unprepared pap, you don't know the source, because probably when you go mill the corn, you don't know what is really at the grinding machine. You can't really know the extent of sanitation of that area. So it's very, very unhygienic to use unprepared pap to treat. Even diarrhea is already a contaminated source, and now you want to use unmilled pap. I don't think it's the right thing to do. The best thing to use if you have diarrhea, use oral rehydration solution with boiled cold water, and as I discussed earlier on, to treat it, or you go to the nearest health center. So it's very unhygienic to use a pap that is not done. We need to discourage our people to do the right things. Okay. Even when you don't know the source of the water you are drinking, it's better you boil.
Okay.
And if you know you cannot get a filter, boil, cool, the sediment will go down and pour into another bucket, and you can drink that. That is very hygienic. Then the second water-related and water-associated disease. I did say about waterborne disease. Those are the one that the microbial, the cholera, the typhoid. When you say water